kinds of work in concrete materialism is the first indispensable step in our education for concrete spirituality. Huxley was apparently endlessly fascinated by the concrete spirituality and immediate spiritual experience, which attend to the individual's existence in a current reality, rather than placing the focus on an afterlife or heaven experience. It is precisely for this reason that Buddhism's practical applications so interested Huxley. Through proper action and intention, as outlined in the Eightfold Path, Huxley asserts that one may reach spiritual enlightenment. It's through awareness, complete and constant awareness, that we transform concrete materialism into a concrete spirituality, he says. Be fully aware of what you're doing, and work becomes the yoga of work. Play becomes the yoga of play. Everyday living becomes the yoga of everyday living. Thus, the citizens of Pala place equal value on the professions of a tree feller or biologist, recognizing that humans have different aptitudes in different areas. Through equal valuation and constant attentiveness, work becomes the yoga of work. Huxley utilizes Tantric Buddhism in his vision of sexual intimacy on the island. The Palanese practice sex with attention to emotional intimacy, interpersonal sensitivity, and sensual awareness. The Palanese engage in Tantric Buddhism, practicing Mathuna, the yoga of love, which uses sex as a means for communing with the divine light, or the infinite. The standard school curriculum entails teaching 16-year-old students this advanced sexual practice alongside algebra. A young lover elaborates, I pay attention to Ranga's body, and to my body, and everything it's feeling, and to all the love and the friendship, and to the mystery of the other person, the perfect stranger, who's the other half of your own self. Although the Buddha did not explicitly include sexual intercourse as part of the Eightfold Path, Huxley interprets the Buddha's teaching as they aid in his vision of a sustainable society. Without reproduction, the population and society die out. Therefore, it is vital that Palanese citizens procreate. However, in the sexual activity, the lovers practice proper mindfulness. Palanese teach the minimum strain and the maximum of awareness needed to effectively and fluidly complete a task. Huxley values the reconciliation of the brain and the body, intellect and physiology. An educated man on Pala asserts, I do muscular work because I have muscles, and if I don't use my muscles I shall become a bad-tempered sitting addict. Rock climbing lessons play a central role within the civilizing system. These lessons serve as the first stage of their initiation out of childhood into adolescence, and are an ordeal that helps them to understand the world they'll have to live in. This ordeal serves to confirm reality, enforcing proper view. The rock climbing experience physically illustrates the omnipresence of death, the essential precariousness of all existence, as described by Huxley. Huxley proposed a shift in educational emphasis from academic intellectuality towards experiential exploration. Instead of the highly verbalized education rooted in our culture since the Middle Ages, he wrote, we need training in the non-verbal humanities, spiritual insight. Discouraging children from taking words too seriously, teaching them to analyze whatever they hear or read, this is an integral part of the school curriculum, as envisioned in Island. This educational principle reflects Buddha's Kalama Sutra, which encourages the Kalama people to trust their own experience above all else. In the society depicted in Island, there is no media conglomerate or dogmatic propaganda. Contrastingly, a liberal, diverse, yet limited media reigns. The news reporting system on Pala consists of one paper, which exists as a medium for an exchange of ideas with all viewpoints equally represented. An Islander explains, there's a panel of editors representing half a dozen different parties and interests. Each of them gets his allotted space for comment and criticism. The reader is then in a position to compare their arguments and make up his own mind. The Buddha supported public debate, and this vision of journalism reflects an open-minded approach to conflicting views. In Island, Huxley introduced the psychedelic moksha medicine, a drug taken ritualistically as a rite of passage, in order to explore a Buddhistic interpretation of the psychedelic experience. During the religious ceremony of the adolescents, they are guided by elders on their revelatory experiences. One of the elders speaks an invocation. The one joined in marriage to the many, the relative made absolute by its union with the one, nirvana identified with samsara, the manifestation in time and flesh and the feeling of the Buddha nature. Underlying all of the Palanese approach to life is the quest for enlightenment. Liberation, one character says, the ending of sorrow, ceasing to be what you ignorantly think you are, and becoming what you are in fact. The liberation Dr. Robert, the character, speaks of involves release, recognition of dukkha, or unsatisfactoriness. The concepts of the Noble Eightfold Path and the Kalama Sutra are quite common when placed in the Eastern philosophical and cultural context. However, they were quite important when applied to Western cultures and ideas, and were thus revolutionary as being unapplied in that context prior to this point. In Buddhism, Huxley found convincing medicine for the societal ills of the Western world. There is still a tension between science and technology, on the one hand, and various strains of humanism, including religion, on the other hand. It is interesting to note that a significant portion of Americans reject science, for example, the theory of evolution, in favor of fundamental Christian religion. Huxley was born into the Christian tradition, but left it to promote Buddhism instead. Huxley's utopian novel Island attempts to blend science and Buddhism, and although a valiant effort, the book leaves many of our questions unanswered. However, it does give us new ideas about how we might struggle with these issues ourselves.